Welcome, guys. Well, we're here with Dexter Carhart. He's one of our alumni at Bloom, and we're super happy to have you on the podcast today, brother.
Happy to be here.
Happy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for making your way out. You know, we had another guest scheduled before you, and he didn't show up.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
He's unfortunate.
He's actively getting high.
He's actively getting
Oh,
high.
no.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have somebody on the podcast and interview them and talk about how they're actively getting high and how that affects them. And,
interesting.
And this is somebody that had been in recovery before.
Right. Had a lot
for
of time.
8 years or 7 years. 7
Yeah,
years.
7.
Had a lot of time and then just went out.
Yeah.
You know? So, of course, he just flaked on us last minute. I think you called him, an hour before you came?
Yeah, I talked to him at noon, and he was like, yeah, I'm about to leave right now. Then I pulled up here. I texted him.
Called him
3 times. No answer. Straight to voicemail every time.
Big surprise. Huh?
Dude, it's just but what's crazy is when I called him the other day, I was like, hey, me and Eric, we really want to have you, just come talk about your situation type of thing. And he was hyped. He was like, yeah, I think that'd be a really cool perspective to get. And it was cool. And he was stoked about it. It wasn't you're trying to use me for your clout or clicks or whatever. He was just about it, and I don't know, man. I've just seen this guy, he got sober only a few months before I did. And we were there together, meetings together, jobs together. And
he'd always rail you because he'd be like, I have more time than you.
yeah, always.
He'd always be like, I have more time than you.
Yeah.
He's says that a lot.
No, he
used
would
to say
though.
that. He used to say that.
He would only have a few more months. He's like, well, I have more time than you, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Talk to me when you get 5 years type thing.
Have either of you guys relapsed after getting through the step work?
No.
It's a whole different thing. I swear it changes your relationship with drugs. At least for me, just because there's such a guilt complex, just because, especially after sponsoring a guy or two, and you have people actually looking up to you and you have a little bit of respect, it's just a whole different thing. It was for me, at least.
It's relieving. It's a big release, just all that shit that we internalize. It's, through the writing and talking about, fifth steps and amends process. It's it's a release.
Right. And it's when you use after that, it's not there's just a whole guilt complex, you're I know I'm not supposed to be doing this and I know how to not do this, but I'm just not utilizing that right now. It's an entirely different thing rather than just being freely able to get high and, just
not feel some type of way about it.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
How many times, how old were you when you got sober, Dexter?
23.
You were 23.
This time.
This
Yes.
time.
Okay.
I was 22 when I first got sober. Well, right before my 22nd birthday, I was 21. But,
I was 20.
You were 20. So we all got sober at a very young age because we all we're lucky enough to realize how bad this disease got, at a young age. It went 0 to 100 real quick,
Yeah.
But you had a few attempts to get sober before this most recent time.
I did. I was in treatment on my 21st birthday. It's really interesting, dude. I've never had a normal drink in my life. I remember the first time I really enjoyed alcohol, I was at a kickback, and I remember I drank a 32-ounce Miller High Life, right? And I was kind of just drinking because everyone else was. I drank the whole thing, and I remember I was sitting there, and I just had that alcoholic moment where I just felt free, I felt safe in my own skin. I could approach anyone, right? And the very next day, I hit up this dude who was 21 and bought about 20 of those, So it was immediate, right? And even then, I had the insight to know that I had a problem. The exchange that I got from alcohol was worth me ignoring the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And subsequently it got really bad. But yeah. So, eventually I had to get sober, bro. I don't think I've ever publicly even even in a meeting, really spoken about how bad it was for me, just because it was so embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Like the shit I would do, the shit I would say. Just
Tell me, what's the most embarrassing shit that you had on your, like, just tell, what is the most embarrassing thing that you think?
probably, dude. There's two different kinds of embarrassment, right? There's like, I'm embarrassed that I did that. And then there's like public humiliation. So probably the most embarrassing thing for me was just the way that I had talked to this police officer, or I should say, shouted at this police officer who was arresting me. And I just said every single fucking thing in the book I could think of, anything. And it's funny reading the transcript, because if you actually look at it, it's all things that I'm insecure about, that I'm roasting him about, right? So I'm like, you don't get any pussy. Like, you're fucking ugly, you're fat, like your wife doesn't even love, like every fucking thing, and then got arrested. Fucking dude, pissed all over myself with all the cops like standing around me because they wouldn't let me use the bathroom. And just waking up, and it's like I kind of remembered what had happened, but not really. But just that experience, just to even think about it, I get chills, and yeah, man.
So that was your public humiliation, or was that the more internal humiliation?
That was somewhat public, but it wasn't anyone I knew, so it didn't matter as much.
When you get drunk and you don't know how to deal with anger and you don't know how to deal with your emotions, it's just such a bad cocktail. It's just a bad recipe, and this stuff comes out. And how did you feel like the next day when somebody told you that you did this? And I assume this was like in front of everybody at a party, right?
It was in front of everyone at a party. I think initially there's a lot more to that story, that I didn't really have time to process it while I was so sick in jail. But I think later I just could not look anyone in the eyes, at least not in a public setting, Like, even I have this memory of, like, I'm a skater, and I remember just being so scared to walk up to the skate park, because I was like just scared of who I was going to see and what they knew. And that was a really dark moment for me in my life, because that was just one story, dude. That was like a weekly occurrence, and
but that's what we call that's what we call in the book. It's called pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. Where it's sad, we don't understand it, and we're acting without morals. And that's where alcohol takes us.
And then you do it again.
And then you do it again because, because
you like the effect produced by alcohol.
Yeah. We just don't understand it. We just like the effect produced by alcohol.
I just want to chill and have a drink. Yeah. I actually have realized in my recovery how much I need to work on patience, because it's really easy to disconnect after getting a little sobriety and maybe even a little respect from people. And then I'm sponsoring guys and I work in treatment, and they can't stay sober for more than a week. And I'm like, just do it. What do you mean, bro? Just don't drink, and I forget how hard it was.
The amount of times I've like been in a room with people, like at meetings, just talking about the fourth step, and like, they're like, oh, like I'm still on the fourth step. It's been like 3 months. I'm like, am I fucking crazy? Like, to think like, why aren't you doing this? Like you already did all of it. Like, you did all of it. Like, what is going on in your head that is just like, oh, I can't, oh God, like, dude, just fucking write it down. Like, what is it really? Just the fact of like you looking at it as homework that like is prohibiting you from getting it done? Like, what is, I can't comprehend how people are just like, oh, it's just a lot. Like, I'm emotionally triggered. It's like, you did it. You already fucking did the shit. Like, what are you worried about? This is, if anything, how are you not looking at it like, this is what's going to relieve me of the pain I feel when I think about these things. This is what's going to relieve me of the shame and guilt I feel that surround these situations, that prohibit me from encountering new people and recreating relationships or creating new relationships, right? Because I'm afraid of what I'll do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, what? I don't get it.
It comes down to a few things, because when you got to look at it from the perspective of someone who's brand new, like, they don't see that and they think what the fuck does this have anything to do with my current predicament? Like,
Right.
what does this have to do with addiction? I don't understand. So if they're coming from that angle, then it's like, okay, I can understand. Maybe they don't even want to do it in the first place. They don't believe that. They think that we are attempting to indoctrinate them into some form of whatever this mysterious step work is. They don't understand, they don't see it from the way we do, or they're just unwilling.
That's probably what they're unwilling. Because
Right.
it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, we're all at a casino, right? We all have gotten rich because we put money on Black 18. And we're telling you that if you put money on Black 18, you'll get rich too, right? It's like, nah, like, I'm going to put it on something else, and you lose, and you're like, what happened?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean what happened?
Yeah.
You didn't do the thing that we all did to get this way, Right.
Well, what's interesting is from time to time, I still have contact with someone that you're not quite fond of. And actually, I talked to him this morning, Derek. Remember that kid?
Oh, I have no problem with Derek.
Okay, whatever.
The kid who pulled a gun on me.
Yeah. The kid who fucking
Pulled the gun, dude.
You still talk to him?
Well, he's in step
listen,
study.
hey, dude, I made a point with that kid. He didn't pull a gun on me. Okay, so there's that.
Were you at the house when he did that?
No.
No, but he was sponsoring him.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't sponsor him anymore, but I made a point to be the only person in that kid's life that wouldn't give up on him, bro. Like he didn't, to be fair, he didn't do anything crazy to me, but even to this day, I still get calls from him. He's like, oh, hey, I woke up in a mental health facility like this morning or some shit. And he's like, do you know a rehab? And I guided him towards a rehab. I forget why. I literally just lost my train of thought why I just brought him up. Because even he was like, he's like, I know this will work for me, but I can't stay sober long enough to get through it.
That I understand. I completely understand, right? Like, you have no real relief. You have no defense against the first drink. And if you're in it, it's so hard to just like, okay, I'll stop getting high just to like do this. Like, it doesn't really work like that. You know what I mean? And I think that in some cases, people are pulled out too quickly, like before they actually hit like their bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, because his thing is like, he'll bounce from sober living, he'll be homeless, he'll get some drinks, he'll start acting crazy, and then he's thrown into a facility, right? And that's okay. Like, it's not the best situation, but it's also like, it could be way worse. Like, he knows also that like his parents will like enable him and like pull him out and be like, okay, let's get you to another spot. And it is what it is, right? Like
Yeah, his parents, his mom, I would talk to his mom for hours, but his mom was, a huge enabler. And I'm like, you just got to let this kid just push a shopping cart down the street, man. Like, you just got to you can't come in and save the day with this kid. And she's like, I just can't do it. I can't let go.
Yeah.
He's got like a learning disability. I think he's like autistic.
Yeah, he is.
He's autistic. And she's like, I can't let go of him. And the thing is, like, the second you let go is, I'm sure, the second that God will start to take care of him.
Yeah.
Where he's going to hit a place of desperation where, oh, wow, he's going to realize mommy's not going to come to save the day. Dad's not going to come. No one's coming to save the day. It's depending on me and my higher power. And that's it. And that's going to be what knocks some sense into him.
And I'll tell you what, he's going to know where to go. And that's probably because of you guys. I don't know if you'd ever been to another treatment center that was structured towards the steps the way that Bloom was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
he knows it. We've talked about it. He's like, I know it will work. I just can't, like I said,
it's not just like, he's been to the Oaks, like Jim and Lou, like they push it just as hard as we do. Right. Which I appreciate that too, but yes, you're right. Like, he does know where to go. It's just such like, I see this in him so much. Like, he's from like a nice neighborhood with very nice parents, and he tries to be this like gangster, like and it's just like, bro, like, chill out, you know? Like, you look like me when I was like 14,
Literally,
like my pants are sagging, I got like big old earrings in, like,
right.
I used to look like that, Yeah. But then I was like, I'm from Thousand Oaks. You know,
Yeah.
like I probably should just chill.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, you know, he can't. So he tries to like be this like big bad, you know, tough guy persona type thing, and it's like it doesn't get anywhere.
Yeah. There's
Right,
no
like,
future in it.
no.
It's right.
I also think that a lot of, going back to what we were talking about, is why people are so unwilling to give the steps a try is they need to try everything else before they give the steps a try. Even if they've reached that state of desperation, they need to try everything else. You know, whether it's just treatment and just IOP, or, you know, drinking on the weekends or some other form of control. They need to try everything else before they realize that nothing else works and this is the last solution. That's why they call it the last house on the block. AA and the 12 steps is the last house on the block. Nobody wants that to be the solution, but that is gonna be what saves you. You know, but the book talks about it being a flimsy reed. You know, being the all-powerful hand of God. No one thinks this stuff is going to work. They grasp onto it like a flimsy reed, but guess what? It ends up saving their life.
Yeah.
And no one thinks it will. And it just takes a little bit of faith and a little bit of work and action. And the rest will just be revealed to you, and your life will completely change. And that's coming from 3 people who have done the work in this program, who continually do the work every single day and have seen their life do a full 180, you know? And it's just sad to see that these people that we try so hard on be unwilling. And it would just be like, just want to shake it into them, you know?
Yeah.
But you can't. You just got to let them reach that point on themselves. Because I don't know about you guys, before I came in the rooms, like this time, before this sobriety, I had tried getting sober in different ways. I had tried getting sober through IOP, through rehabs. I had tried getting sober through my parents taking me to meetings. And it was their will, you know, not my will going to meetings. I had tried getting sober, you know, by only drinking on the weekends or this, that, and the other. And it had to be my decision to come into the meetings, you know, and come into the groups and work the steps, not anybody else's. It wasn't my parents. It actually got to the point where it's like my parents didn't give a shit anymore. They wanted me out of their life. They didn't give a shit whether I was sober or not. And that's when I decided to get sober. You know, it was my decision. It was when they stopped forcing me. You know, that's when the change started to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's, you know.
How long did it take after they stopped caring?
Man, let's see. Probably like 6 months, because
There was probably some time in there too where it was like, after they stopped caring, you're like, I'll prove it to you. I got this.
Yeah.
Like I could watch.
yeah, well, a big part of me wanted to prove it to you, but also a big part of me wanted to do it for myself, because I saw my life going nowhere and nowhere fast.
I mean, the drinking and using though.
Yeah.
Like I can be okay. Like you just don't want me to stop because of how it's affecting you. Like I'll be okay. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't got this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I think after the 4th crashed car,
Oh shit, bro.
I think I was like, man, I don't think I got this. You know, like waking up behind the wheel of my mom's SUV Suburban, like crashed into a mailbox with the whole right passenger side just completely obliterated, and waking up at like 3 a.m. being like,
Darn
the
it.
fuck happened? Not again.
Yeah.
Those pesky kids.
Yeah.
It's a Scooby-Doo reference.
Yeah, no, I got that.
But so what was different for you, Dexter? What was different for you this time? When you went to Wildwood this final time, and then you came to Bloom, what was different for you?
Looking back on it, there's a number of factors that contributed to me even wanting to be sober this time. So the year prior to this sobriety, I had been attending step study while pretending to be sober, or attempting, you know, to keep people off my back. And I was trying to keep this girlfriend around, and it was just probably the worst year of my life. which says a lot because the next year was pretty crazy, right? So just really dark places, very, very alone, lying. My whole life was a lie, right? And so what ended up happening was this girl dumped me and left me for this other dude, right? And there I was with no coping mechanisms except drugs, right? And so I just did as many as I could and, you know, ended up taking a couple Xanax bars, and I just woke up in treatment. And, you know, I have blacked out so many times in my life. I just remember being in that treatment center, being really pissed off at first because I knew I had to stay the 30 days. And I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? But, you know, I had the biggest moment of clarity I've ever had because I knew something really bad was going to happen to me or someone else. You know, I drive drunk, I drive while blacked out on Xanax, and I'd never thought like that before. It's really weird because if you had asked me, or if you had told me, I had a lot of people tell me you're going to die, and I did not give a shit. But for some reason in this one moment I did. So that was part of it. Was I knew what you guys had worked because I'd been attending step study, and I knew what was up with that, and that those guys were not lying. And speaking candidly, the other half was spite in the beginning because I was so you remember I was so pissed off at this girl, bro. I was so enraged that someone could like betray me like that. And it was enough to keep me sober for a few months, get through the work, and then I was like, "Oh, this is the shit." Yeah. You know,
wasn't this girl at the Oaks, right? She was. Yeah. Okay, I remember. Yeah, I remember when this was happening. I remember.
How do you remember that?
Because you told me like I can't go to the Oaks because this is that girl's there, and I hate that girl, and she fucked me over. You know? Yeah, I just remember you talking about it.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, it was enough to keep me sober for a few months, and then life got really good, and there's nothing I would have done to fuck that up at that point, especially coming fresh hot off of the amends process and sponsoring. It was like people wanted to be around me. I wasn't in that dark place anymore, and I was happy. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And then you got a chance, you know, at the steps.
You were very willing.
You were very, you're very willing.
We put you in a room with now one of your best friends, but at the time, right? Like someone you had known about that you were like, I don't know, bro. You know, but dude, like we put you in that room with Luke, and like you handled it so well. You know, you really did. And it was just like I kind of saw you taking it like one night at a time. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like, oh, this guy's gonna be our roommate for however long, and like, oh, this is gonna suck. It was just like one night at a time. You and him, you'd talk, and then what was your rule? You were like, what'd you call it?
The quiet game.
Yeah. No, but it was like a certain time he had to stop talking.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember what I called it. Yeah, but I remember like no talking after 10. And dude, really, really quickly, he learned to respect boundaries, you know, with me. I don't know what it was between me and him. Bro, I'm convinced that was God, that we got put in the same room. Because I'll tell you, dude, so I'm an introvert. And like when I come off a run and I'm coming into the rooms, I'm not in a position to be lighthearted, bubbly, funny, and make my way into a clique of people who know each other really well. I need to be like pulled in, please come, like invited, right?
Yeah.
And when I was at Oak Forest with Luke a year earlier, he was just that person. And so that's why I was actually close with him at Oak Forest, even though he was actually tweaking it at that. And I didn't even know. Yeah. Dude, if you guys think he was bad, bro, let me tell you,
he was actively using there?
That was revealed by him later.
Oh, okay.
But nobody knew somehow. We just thought he was like that. But being put in that room with Luke, it made me comfortable, and like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just the perfect match, bro.
Yeah.
But it was hard at the beginning. It was a little hard.
Yeah, because you couldn't get him to stop talking.
Yeah. I remember you being like, he was in the shower just talking to himself. You were like, Luke, no more talking for the rest of the night. and you go back in your room, and like 5 minutes later, he's just going on again. You come back out.
Yeah. So while you were at our house, Dexter, you went through one of the most traumatic things that a person could ever go through. Can you tell us about that?
Sure.
If you want to, like, bro, like,
No, I'll go into it, dude. You might have to tell me what you want to know, but looking back, you can feel free to ask questions. I'll just tell you what I think. I mean,
did you think you were gonna stay sober?
Well, let him tell the story first.
I honestly, okay, so tell the story?
Yeah, tell the story first so people know what we're talking about.
Well, okay, so in June 2022, I had a twin brother, and he took his own life while I was at Bloom Recovery, and I was about 4 months sober. Like, going back, I was 4 months sober, fresh off amends, had like had a sponsor or two. I was feeling good, dude. And like, my program had never been so strong in my whole life, and I was surrounded by people I loved and knew very well. And thank God you were there that night, dude. Let me tell you, I've never told you how grateful I am that either one of you would have been fine. I just mean like that you were there, because
We were doing frags.
holy shit.
You got two or three calls back to back to back.
No, actually what it was, this still bothers me to this day, but it's not related to recovery, but just this guy who was living on the top floor of my parents' house. He was a tenant. He sent me a DM on Instagram, and he's like, "Hey, I heard the news. I'm so sorry." And that's how I found out. I was like, and I got chills. The hair on the back of my neck stood up.
Was he specific?
No.
He just said that.
He just said that.
But you knew already.
I didn't know. I knew someone had died.
Yeah.
I assumed it was going to be my father, but, and I go outside and call my mom. I actually remember you were like, "Why do you think you can just make a call?" You didn't know. And I was just like, and called, and my mom said,
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I know
Yeah,
I
you
didn't do
did.
that. No, I didn't. I said, I watched you look at your phone, and you looked at me because we were doing frags, and you were like, "I need to make this call." I go, "Okay." I said, "Okay." And we were in the middle of doing frags, and I heard you yell out front or slam a door or something. But I remember being like, "You good? Like, what's going on?" And then you told me, and I go, "Let's go."
yeah.
I wasn't like,
Okay, regardless, whatever happened right then doesn't matter. But yeah, I went outside. She told me, or I said, what's going on? And she's just said, "Hayden's dead." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, I was like, "How?" And she's like, "He took his own life." And that's when I let out that scream. And yeah, I just remember you coming out and me telling you, and I was going to drive. See, that was like a crossroads moment, because I might have picked up alcohol, but I just remember that my first thought was like, okay, I need to go be with my family, and not, okay, this is a really good reason to get high,
Yeah.
But I didn't know in that moment for sure if in the long run I would stay sober. But yeah, I mean, the moment never came where I needed to get loaded over it. I just knew that there's not enough substances, there's not enough alcohol on earth to mitigate the feelings that I was feeling and to bring back Hayden. It's just not going to solve anything. And yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
so
That was insane.
we've had a few conversations, like later on, and you'll bring up once in a while, like, you feel like you could have done more. You feel like you should have done, you like feel some guilt towards the situation,
Yeah.
And it's not like, I'm sure like a lot of people in those situations like feel like, "Oh, I should have done more. I could have done more." Right? What's it like? Like, how do you feel about it like now?
Well, here's the thing. When somebody dies, like, let's say your grandfather died, people will completely unreasonably, with no correlation, say that. They'll say, I could have done more. It's like, the fuck could you have done? He had cancer. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What are you, God? You know?
Yeah.
But in this situation, there were instances where it was reasonable, or at least in my head, it's reasonable to be like, more could have been done, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the things that haunt me sometimes, not all the time, you know. But how I feel about it now, I don't mean to be, you know, blunt. Everyone's gonna die,
Yeah.
you know, and
For sure.
I will not spend I love Hayden. I always will. I'll see him again one day, but I cannot spend my human years loathing every single day. I wake up and I honor him by living another day without him in this world. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it. But there is more that can be done, but you only realize that afterwards. And that's just how it is. You can't change the past.
You know, and I'll go into this with about this, but your brother was such like a happy-go-lucky guy. At least that's the side that he presented to the world.
Yeah.
You know, he had me on Snapchat. He would send me Snapchats of him like skateboarding or surfing at the beach. You know, he would just always just be the happiest guy in the world, it seemed like. And I remember, I think it happened on a Wednesday night or Thursday night.
I don't know.
But I remember because I had saw him the night before. He came to a meeting with us.
And he was at the house.
He was at the house. He was at our house. And we were talking about him potentially even moving into our house because he was struggling with the same thing that you were struggling with, is alcoholism. And, you know, I don't know if he was inebriated that night or not, but this just speaks to how dangerous this disease could be, and how when it's coupled with mental health issues, it's absolutely fatal. That's why we always say we're living on borrowed time as sober people. Because if we didn't get sober, if we didn't take this daily reprieve, we would sure to be dead in a casket 6 feet under the ground. And you know, it's the severity of this disease is so important. It's so strong. And I just don't think a lot of people in active addiction, they don't understand that. They don't understand how severe this disease is. So to have a brother, your
twin,
Hayden, to have a twin or have a brother that got sober and was able to get this thing, that was such a probably an amazing gift for him, because you were a beacon of hope for him. He just couldn't realize it.
Yeah, you know, for the time that I was sober in this sobriety that he got to I think I probably was. You just reminded me, that was the first meeting that I led in this sobriety was the one he attended, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, the end result of addiction is binary. It's either you get sober or you don't. If you're an addict, right? Yeah. Or an alcoholic. There's no in between. And that's why it is so severe. And going back to, like, they don't understand that while they're using, it's like, we always think it couldn't be me, right? Like, and even now, man, like, I would think, you know, I know, but like, if I somehow switched and was like, I'm going to relapse, I probably would think the same way. Still, you know, it's that powerful. Yeah. So, yeah.
You're about to take what, 2 years sober, huh?
2 years on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Shit.
Dude, that's so sick.
Where can we give you a cake?
I'm going to Thursday Visions at 6 p.m. and I'll be at CA on Friday.
What about Tuesday night?
I actually was looking for a Tuesday night meeting where they give cakes. I don't think they do at Visions.
No. Thursdays, I don't think they do either. Wednesday they do.
You go get
What? Yeah.
I used to secretary Thursday.
I had secretary Thursday. I used to secretary Thursday night.
I think it's just Wednesday they give cakes.
Wednesdays?
We should go to late night.
Marina?
No, Sherry Theater. Give him a cake at Sherry Theater.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm down.
Be down.
I love taking cakes there.
That's on Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right.
It's in North Hollywood.
Let's
you
do
know?
it, bro. Yeah.
But that's the best. You know, I would love to give you a cake. I really would.
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks, man.
Dude, and he's just like such a shining beacon of hope. Like, you sponsored Taylor in our house, and he's like, I was talking to his parents the other day, and he's completely done a 180. They're like, so when I get on the phone with them, and they're just like so thankful, so grateful for, you know, everything we've done for him. I'm just like, you know, thank Dexter. He's the one who's, he's the one who's like, you know, sponsored him and took him through the steps and everything, you know, and listened to him for hours and, you know, guided him. But, you know, if it wasn't for you, I don't know if he would have found relief through the steps. You know, you've been an amazing sponsor for him.
Yeah. Well, alternatively, Taylor has held me accountable to my own program more than I was able to, you know, and he restored my hope. I mean, I knew the program works, but it's fair to say I had, you know, some rather chaotic experiences sponsoring people, which is part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
But
Where it's like all your sponsees don't end up not calling you or not staying sober. Yeah.
You know, 4 sponsees, and then 3 of them go out within a week, and then the other stops calling you, and you're like, oh, fuck. But yeah, Taylor, dude, I mean, he just showed up. He's very ambitious, and he's a very good worker. Like, I could see him being a really good employee because he just showed up. He's like, oh, that's how you guys do things around here? Okay, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then he just did it, you know, and he's the man, dude.
Yeah. So much love for Taylor.
Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out Taylor. He's begging me to take him off toilet duty at
Is he?
He's begging me. It's like, you've had me on this for a month. I'm like, I'll have you on it until you stop complaining about it.
Yeah. Hey, do what you can. Yeah.
That was my job.
Yeah.
I want to, just to go back to your brother for a second, when you had the memorial, it was like, there were so many people. Was that like overwhelming, or like, was it like beautiful to see? Like, what were your feelings for that?
You know what, dude? Okay, I'll get to that. I don't think I really processed the fact that death, I had never understood the finality of death really until this happened, and probably not until about a year after, you know. Like, I could kind of conceptualize it, but just to live and realize slowly but surely in my subconscious that I'm not going to see him again, because I know that in my frontal brain, but like for some reason I just had this feeling I would see him again one day, and that didn't kind of go away until the second year. So during the memorial, I was kind of in a state of shock, and I was not grief-stricken. I was actually really happy to see all those people, and looking back on it later, I was moved that many people showed up for Hayden, because, you know, he had an impact on a lot of people, dude. He was happy-go-lucky, a lot more so than me. He was a lot more free than me in his social interactions, in his personal life, in being who he wants to be. You know, I tend to be more socially inhibited than he ever was. So I was moved, man. I was moved.
Yeah, and also, like, yes, a lot of people showed up, like, to, like, pay respects and, like, you know, but they also showed up for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of his friends were your friends, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the whole house came.
Yeah,
Bloom.
and it's like, you know, okay, we'd met him a couple times, but, like, dude, like, we were there for you. You know what I mean? Like, so. And
I know you didn't feel obligated. I remember you being like, so can we come or what? Like, you said it like that. Yeah. You're like, so are we coming or what?
Yeah.
I was like, bro, all right.
I was like, bro, we're showing up, dude. Like, well, we didn't. No, I felt obligated to show up because it was like, dude, like, I wanted you to feel supported.
Yeah.
You know, like, I wanted you to feel like there were people there for you to, like, I don't even know how to explain it. You know, like, you were there for Hayden. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, like, you felt like a lot of other people were too. But I wanted you to feel like there were people there for you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I did kind of feel obligated. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I guess what I meant by that was forced. Like, you didn't feel like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't have to ask you,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You
yeah.
were just pumped. You were like, we're coming. Like,
Yeah.
Or like, can we come or what?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we I think you guys came early to help set up and everything.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Yeah, we did some
you
stuff.
know, it's just when somebody's going through that in their time of need, you just have to ask him whatever you could do to be of service to him. You know, it just goes back to doing a 12-step. It's like, what can I do to be of service? Like, how do you need me to support you? Like, what do I need to do? Like, just ask how you could be helpful. And just be there. And sometimes they don't need you to do anything, just be there, and support. And that's the most you could do, especially when somebody's going through those times.
Yeah.
And showing up for your family too. Somebody that's strong in this program and showing up for your family was huge for them.
Yeah. It was quite the twist of fate, dude, because before, fuck, man. There's no way I could have showed. I mean,
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would have happened if Clayton had, like I said, if Clayton hadn't decided to drive me. I was about to drive myself, and I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Of course. So where are you at today, man? So you've been sober now almost 2 years.
Yeah.
You work in treatment. You work at Warner Park.
That's right.
Which is an IOP. Do you run groups over there now?
I do facilitate groups.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I've been doing intakes recently, but from time to time I'll facilitate groups, and I actually steal your frags thing, or I have before when I'm out of group ideas,
Yeah, of course.
But I love running groups, man. It's very fulfilling. It makes me pumped for recovery every time I do it.
Yeah.
And it's a really good indicator of where people are at, in their life and stuff.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure it's an indicator of like some people, they don't want to engage at all. They just sit there and you just tell, like they're just checked out. You know? But some other people are like, I'm about it,
Right.
Yeah.
I want to be, talk the most. I want to share the most. I want to be the most helpful.
Or even like getting that person who doesn't talk, like they arrive and they don't talk, they don't want to say anything, they don't want to engage, and like kind of slowly getting them out of their shell to like be a part of the group, and then they're like dropping knowledge almost. You're like, oh shit.
Those I was gonna say those are the ones that are more fulfilling in the end.
Yeah.
Just because like you watch the
the growth,
the fear, and the not wanting to talk to anyone slowly go away.
Dexter, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. We both love you so much. You've been such a beautiful light in our recovery, and we're so happy to be a part of your recovery. And I'm just excited to see where you go in life, man. Like, I'm super excited to see where you go in life.
Thank you, dude.
Of course.
Love
dude.
you guys too. And yeah, I don't know where I'd be without Bloom, honestly. Shout out to that house.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
it's a
man.
pleasure.
Thanks for being
Of
here.
course. Thanks for coming on the podcast, dude. And if you want to, if you or a loved one needs help and is looking to get sober or get into sober living or start their treatment, please feel free to reach out to me or Clayton or Dexter via Instagram, cell phone. We'll throw all that information in the bio and in the link and all of the links in the bio. So please feel free to reach out. And if we can't help you, we'll at least point you in the right direction. You just know that if you don't want to, you don't have to take another drink or a drug for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But that's with the help of others. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Thank you again, Dexter.
Thanks.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
guys.
Bye.